Hey guys, it's Kim here with Fairly Fiber Fun. Thanks for joining me on this little mini tutorial video. Today I am going to show you how I darn a pair of socks before they can get a hole in them completely. So these socks are very worn out, and you will see that here in a moment. But before we get started, I did want to say thank you to everybody for joining me and welcome to all the new subscribers. There have been so many of you and I really appreciate it. And I love interacting with you guys. I love the comments. I love reading them and responding to them. You guys are just awesome. And I want you to know that I love you and I appreciate you and you mean the world to me. So keep on watching. And if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. And I will see you on the other side. Bye. All right, so to darn a sock, you need your sock that requires darning, something like a darning egg, which is what this is, and sock yarn. In this case, I have some yarn left over from knitting these socks, and I'm going to use the same yarn to repair my sock. And it just happens that the end that is available is the same color. Probably not the best for a video, but it works. Now, I don't have holes, but I want to prevent holes, and the best way to do that is to do your darning when the yarn becomes weak. So here's what the yarn looks like when it is not worn out, and here's what it looks like when it is worn out. You can see a huge difference. A lot of these strands are getting super thin, and it is the entire area here plus a little bit around the edges. So I'm going to start darning this by doing a so there I have a line of duplicate stitches across the top half of the weak spot, and now I'm going to fill in the top section, and then I'm going to go back down and I'm going to do the bottom section, and I'm probably going to put a few more reinforcement stitches through the center. So I have to turn it over, so now my work is upside down to what it was. And I want to come up in the next stitch. And this is, come on, the opposite direction on the camera than it is for me, because the camera's in front of me. But this should hopefully give you a good idea of how to duplicate stitch darn a sock. I keep going out of camera here. So I will be back when I'm done with this section, and I will show you how I'm doing the next section. All right, so you can see the darker part of the heel is where I duplicate stitch. I actually have one more row of the heel turn in this darker green. Excuse me. I have one more row here at the back that I did not do, that I could have done, but I don't think it's needed. So now I'm going to work my way down by kind of doing a duplicate stitch sort of thing, so it's not super obvious that's what I'm doing. And there I'm at the beginning of where I first started. So now I'm just going to keep duplicate stitching. I got to make sure that can actually go in there, that I am getting all the stitches. I'm not skipping a row. I've got it spread pretty well over the darning egg. This is much easier with a different color yarn than your original. And I'm actually trying to go all the way through underneath the original stitches to make sure I capture that yarn completely. And then I'm pulling the new stitches kind of tight. Make sure I have a very firm fabric. This takes a lot of concentration, by the way. Now I'm transitioning down to the next row. So I'm going to turn it around. And this one's pretty easy here. It's always easier for me to see it this direction, which is the direction it was knit. The next row is tiny. It's hard to not skip a row. It's the one problem with knitting at such a tight gauge. If you've never duplicate stitched before, you may want to practice on a on something else, like a swatch or something, with bigger yarn and contrasting colors. But duplicate stitch is how I weave in all my ends. So I have a lot of practice with it. And I have to say, doing this now while you still have stitches visible is so much easier than doing it once the yarn has broken. So darn your socks before your yarn breaks and you have actual holes. All right, so I'm going to finish this one and then I will compare the two socks and let you see the difference. All right, so here is the one that I finished. It's all done, all duplicate stitched to cover up all the weak, thin, worn out yarn, and it looks good as new. And I put it on and I cannot feel any difference whatsoever. It just feels like a normal sock, a normal hand knit sock. In my hands, the fabric feels a little bit stiff and tight, tighter than the rest of the sock. But compared to the very stretched out, very worn out, very thin, undarned heel, the difference is just phenomenal. And actually the fit is a lot better now that I have fixed these. So yeah, if you have a thin, worn out section on a hand knit sock, go ahead and do the darning, and your feet won't be able to tell that there are extra stitches there, and so it will not be uncomfortable at all. So here I'm just trying to show you a few different views. This is the inside of the sock, and I think that's the one I have not done versus the one I have. And yeah, so I am going to let you see some pictures, and then I'm going to go finish the second sock. And I'm going to put them on and walk around my house because they feel good when they're freshly darned and they fit well. I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.